Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole. I'm going to be the host of the dynaCERT webinar that you're joining us on today. I'm joined here by Jim Payne, Chairman and CEO, and Bernd Krueper. He is the President and Director of dynaCERT, joining us from Germany. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, Nicole.
We have a presentation in queue for everyone here on the line. So I'm going to jet off here and let you guys take the stage, and I'll come back for a Q&A session. Just a reminder for all of our live viewers here, you can go ahead and put your questions in the chat box on the side of your screen. I'll be moderating that, and when I come back on screen, we'll get through as many of them as we can. So have a good show, guys. We'll talk to you in a second.
Well, certainly appreciate this opportunity. I'm Jim Payne, the CEO and Chairman of dynaCERT, and I am pleased to have Bernd Krueper, our newest President, Director, and Shareholder of the company. So this is the first time that Bernd and I have had the opportunity to do this together. I am very excited for this opportunity. HydraGEN, we are a global solution to reduce pollution. Here's just a brief disclaimer. But so you have a better understanding of the company, we are a company which we say driving change for a better future. dynaCERT, we're a growing energy sector company. We specialize in carbon emission reduction technologies. We take this to the marketplace. We've got over 22 years in business with experience where we have spent over $100 million over the past 22 years in research and development, commercialization, testing, proving our technology for the world within a very effective electrolysis unit. Our product, what it is it's a HydraGEN unit, we call it. It produces pure hydrogen and pure oxygen on demand. It feeds it to the internal combustion engine through the air intake to reduce the emissions and to increase the fuel economy. You certainly see here how our technology works. Like I said, we produce hydrogen on demand. It's important to understand that this is produced on demand. It is never storing hydrogen, but it is producing both the hydrogen and oxygen on demand, feeding it to the internal combustion engine to enhance the burn. It's interesting, you go back over 50 years, there's white papers where it talks clearly about this technology, where it has been proven year after year. The challenge has always been you had to have that right fix, you had to have that right mixture. And that's where we have spent years developing this and perfecting this, where we produce the hydrogen and oxygen on demand, but we feed it as measured amounts into the internal combustion engine. By doing this, we reduce the emissions, and it's important to understand these emissions are reduced right at the source, right at the combustion. We also reduced maintenance costs, less regens within the trucks or within the engines, increased engine oil life, reduced DEF fluid usage, cleaner diesel particulate matters, and automatically reducing the emissions. We have patented technology. This is something we have several patents, several fields of patents. We have spent years having this done, perfected. It's patented the production system of how it optimizes the mixture of the H2 and O2 gases. We also have what we call our smart ECU, or our smart electronic control unit, which controls the unit and literally does all this where it's fully computerized. It's interesting, you have to understand that our computer interfaces with the computer of an engine, and that is how we optimize this. We've also got patented high output, low energy electrolysis systems. Our technological advantages, certainly the tracking of the fuel and emission reductions at a glance. We have what we call the HydraLytica, which is trademarked by dynaCERT. This is something that was developed by dynaCERT, by our team, where it is a software where it tracks both the fuel savings, the emission reductions, as well as generating carbon credits. We're going to talk more about the carbon credits down the road, but this is something that we have spent a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort to perfect, because this will generate passive revenue in stream for both the company and our end users, which, if you understand the carbon credit market today, this is certainly a very fast growing market where there is so many companies that cannot offset or cannot change their emissions, have to buy the carbon credits to offset it. I know that this is certainly a big thing also within Europe. Bernd, you might want to just talk about that
Okay, good. Bernd Krueper, since May, president of dynaCERT as well. Happy to be with Jim and the whole team. And as you said, also of course in Europe, there's a lot going on in the carbon credit discussion and situation on carbon and CO2 capturing. And with our solution, of course, we can first reduce fuel consumption, and by that also the emissions. And with the telematic solution of HydraLytica by dynaCERT, we can also measure the fuel consumption reduction and the emission reduction. And therefore, it's an important basis of our carbon credit generation.
So we talk about the reduced emissions and savings. I mean, this is something that was tested and validated. This particular slide here, this was all validated in Europe by where it was tested, by Emitech for the KBA to get the homologation in Europe. They actually tested this thing 3 separate times because the first time they could not believe the results. But the results, I mean, we reduced the CO2 by 9.6%, the particulate matter by 55.3%, the total hydrocarbons by 57.7%, the NOx, which is the most deadly gas produced by a diesel engine, this was reduced by 88.7%. Again, you got to understand, this is right at the source, right at the combustion. This is not through any kind of filtration system. This is actually being reduced at the burn. And then the fuel economy, we improved the fuel economy. At this time, this was a brand new modern truck, and we reduced the fuel economy by 8.9%.
And maybe adding, Jim, as you can imagine, coming from with the background of diesel engine manufacturers like Daimler and MTUs and Detroit Diesels, you know how much effort is necessary to reduce 1% of the fuel, how much engineering work, how much development budget is necessary. Therefore, the dynaCERT solution, HydraGEN, is definitely really worth to investigate and to check and to go into, because 5% and more here, 8.9 proven fuel reduction is really a significant number. And besides the other emission values, which of course 88% of NOx is tremendous and really huge impact.
We look at the economic benefits. I mean, the lower consumption and maintenance, the reduction in fuel consumption 6 to 19%. The reduction again in the diesel or exhaust fluid that is used is 51%, and that is because of the reduction of NOx. This diesel exhaust fluid is a fluid that is ran through by the computer of a truck or an engine to reduce the NOx. But because it is so reduced so significantly at the source, we've reduced the use of the diesel exhaust fluid by up to 51%. Again, and the same thing in the DPF, that is the diesel particulate filters. I mean, these are massive filters that are made to filter out the particulate matter. It is reduced, or the increased life of it by 33%. But this is something else that, you got to understand. I mean, primarily without our technology, these filters fill up with the particulate matter, and then an engine or a truck is forced to go into what's called a regen, where it pours fuel in to burn it off. And if you ever seen a truck while it was going through regen, you'd swear this truck was on fire. It engulfs the truck in smoke. So this is a filtration system that was designed to make us feel better. We don't see the black smoke coming out of the tailpipe of these trucks going down the road. But the reality is, without our technology, all this particulate matter is going right back in the atmosphere. It's either getting burnt off and gone back in the atmosphere, or what cannot be burnt off ends up the big filters in a landfill site. So, the use of our technology changes things so significantly. And again, of course, the reduction in oil changes this was actually tested by Detroit Diesel, where they ran 2 trucks, one with our unit, one without, the same type trucks running the same time and the same routes, came back for a typical oil change. The truck without our unit came back at 8% soot content. They said that's normal, but it's the soot that starts breaking down the oil and start wearing out an engine. With our technology on it, it came back at less than 1% soot content. Again, it just really shows, what a significant change our technology is making at the source. as we had said, we've been over 20 years. We spent a lot of time having our technology tested, validated, and certified globally. Initially, back in the early days, we worked, with the University of Ontario, and then we went, after we had our technology with Pitt Group here in Canada. That is the gold standard in Canada for transportation. They tested our unit. They tested it on a track for a 100-kilometer round track. They brought a truck up to 100 kilometers an hour, set the cruise, ran it for 100 kilometers with our technology on it, so there was no change. And then they turned off the test and took it off the cruise. And there they seen, over 8% improvement in fuel economy. Actually, they press released that was an envy in the industry. It made such a difference. And you got to understand, this was actually tested where the truck was considered to be working at its optimum performance with and without our technology. Obviously, again, like I said, the METech, ICAT in India, of course, independent testimonials by users globally, then TÜV North and TÜV South in Europe for their homologation. And then more importantly today with the HydraLytica, where it is showing in real time, where our end users can see day by day, minute by minute, the improved fuel economy, the improvements of with the technology, and also measures the reduction in emissions, converts it to CO2e for the carbon credits. This just gives you a brief synopsis of our current technology, or our current units. We have right now 4 different models. We've got the HG1 series. That is for a Class 8 truck or a transport truck. That was our go-to market. That was probably the toughest market to try and penetrate. Certainly, you look at the Class 8 trucks, the trucking industry, they've been inundated forever. Put this in your oil, put this in your gas tank, put this in your tire. It goes on and on and on, with what they call snake oil salesmen, where, this was a tough market to penetrate. But we are proud to say that we are now, starting to gain some serious momentum in there. We're gaining repeat orders. And to me, it's the repeat orders that tell the story. The HG2 series was for the smaller engines. We were actually asked if we could develop a smaller unit for the refrigerated containers or reefers, because they've got a small, typically 2 to 3 liter engine that runs 24/7 to keep running for the cooling for their units. Of course, then we've got our large 4Cs and 6Cs. This was primarily developed for the mining industry, for the large power generation and the larger equipment. Here, this just shows a picture, and Bert, this is over in Europe. You might want to just touch on some of
Jim, thank you. This shows an installation on a truck, of course, in France. Means it's Euro 6, equivalent also to Class 7 and Class 6 in North America. It shows the installation, and of course we are there installed in test installations, and now also close to repeat orders on various European truck brands here, Iveco, Fiat Group, of course also with MAN and Mercedes and Scanias, and therefore testing also there, and proper feedbacks.
And again, this here just shows you, we talk about the mining industry. This is our 6C. This is actually currently our largest unit. That is the size of a small deep freeze. You see it up there on a truck. It's yellow metal, or that is our unit on these big trucks within the open pit mines. And then this on the left, this is actually one of our customers in Mexico. They run a grocery chain. They carry heavier loads, so they wanted something with more output than what our HG1 did. So they decided to go with dual HG2s for theirs. And then on the right-hand side, actually, I guess you can't really, you can see the 2 units there. This is in the oil and gas industry, powering the drilling rigs. Again, this just shows you some pictures of our equipment on construction equipment, both bulldozers and dump trucks. Again, Bernd, I'm going to let you talk about this over in France.
Yeah, thank you. This, as you can see, it's a race truck of the Rally Paris-Dakar. Means very tough conditions, of course, where they did rely on our device, which worked perfectly. And it happened also that there was a tumble of the truck, an accident, and our system and device still worked. And of course, it helped also really to make a fast race and contributes to the success of the truck. And very tough conditions, as you can imagine, very hot, a lot of activities, a lot of dust, but our system worked, as said, also when the truck tumbled.
Yeah, so this year in the Dakar race, they've actually got 2 trucks in the race and then 1 additional service truck like we see here that's running. This just shows you more of the diverse applications. I mean, everything from mining, construction, Class 8 trucks, power generation, just gives you an idea of some of the diverse applications. The one there, that's actually underground mining equipment also. So. Again, this just gives you a little bit of, the actual mining results, that our technology has shown. You look at these big Cat 793s, I mean, these big massive trucks, they've seen 11% fuel efficiency, the dynamometer one with the MAN 8.9, highway transportation 12.6, the Cat 797 13.4, and the big Komatsu 11.8. I mean, these were trials that were actually done and achieved within these mining industries, within these companies. Current technology or current applications with the current market that we are currently in buses, everything from city buses to school buses, refrigerated trailers, small delivery trucks, or mid-size, I'm going to say, Class 8 trucks, power generators, farming, construction, and then the mining equipment, and the oil and drill rigs. Actually, the oil and drill rigs in Western Canada, we've had our company there that we just announced, I think last week or earlier this week. There's a company there that initially, they had tried somebody else's product back a few years ago, had no result. They came to us and said, we'd like to try one of your units. They bought and tried one. Then they came back and placed a second order. They came back and placed a third order. And then just last week, placed a fourth order. And again, this is these repeat orders I'm talking about. To me, that tells a story more than anything. But certainly the initiated market, small marine, we're now working within small marines and locomotives. But the future, we've had several inquiries about passenger vehicles, especially in Europe. I mean, the Europeans love their cars, they love their diesel cars, and of course the ocean-going vessels, which we'll probably talk a little more about later. But Bernd, is there anything you'd like to add there?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. As you show, and maybe for the audience first, our device and the technology and the electrolysis works per every combustion engine, majorly focusing on diesel up to now in various applications as shown. Secondly, we ourselves have a background and focus majorly on mining, oil and gas in Class 8, but of course working with each and every application principally, might it be stationary or might it be mobile, and therefore having test installations in the various applications you see here and Jim explained. Secondly, we are of course talking and defining and talking strategically as well permanently together with the team, where to head to, what to do ourselves, what to do in which geography, with which application, what to do ourselves, what to do with partners, and therefore it's a lot of opportunities. And you can imagine and know yourself how many only diesel trucks are all around North America, which is roughly 30 million units. And not each and every one of these will be short-term full electric or complete hydrogen engine. Therefore, a lot of potential, a lot of opportunities, and we approach them step by step.
The other thing you might want to just touch on, Bernd, certainly, with your past experience over 20 years, then along with the COO that you just brought on board, and of course our newest director, with the OEM background, and where you think this may be going within the OEM industry also.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks for the point as well, Jim. Means principally, as the audience knows, as you guys know, or can imagine, our major target group is, of course, the fleet owners, means the operators, as it's principally a retrofitting solution, aftermarket solution for the existing fleet. Of course, also interesting for new vehicles and new engines. And as also the engine manufacturers and new vehicle manufacturers see what we are doing and get also now a push and pull effect out of their market, which is also our customers, of course. We are in serious and deep talks and are approached permanently in Northern America, as well as in Europe, as well as in Asia, where engine manufacturers want to know what we are doing, how we are doing that, what is our technology. And therefore, we are principally not competing with the complete hydrogen engine, as it's more retrofitting of diesel engines. But of course, they see also as well by themselves, as well as from the customers, which is their customers and our customers, that the fuel economy really works, and that, of course, there's significant emission reduction. So it's also in the interest of the engine manufacturers and vehicle manufacturers that we have a solution which is good for the environment. And therefore, let's see what will happen. But definitely, we are in deep technological discussions with them. They are interested in our technology. We, of course, could imagine also working very closely with them. Therefore, it's, as said, major target group is the operators, is the fleet owners, the users of the vehicles, and by that of our device in our box. But yeah, serious discussions on every side of the Atlantic and the Pacific.
Thank you. This just shows you quickly the value proposition to the end user. You know, you look at an average truck here within North America travels 204,000 kilometers a year. That's at savings of 10%. You know, this shows a payback. Now, this is just based on the fuel savings. This is not taking anything else into consideration. It's not taking in carbon credits, the reduced DEF, the reduced DPF, or the prolonged life of the DPF or the oil changes. And just based on that, in a North American truck at 204,000 kilometers, they would see a payback or a return on investment in an average 7 to 8 months. Bernd already mentioned, you know, the size of the market. I mean, this just gives you an overview of the market. And again, Bernd, if you want to just highlight on this.
Yeah, as said, of course, figures are moving, but definitely huge opportunity. Everybody, or maybe now it's more reality, thanks God, in the discussion, because at sometime was everything permanently discussed, as you know, versus whether everything would be full electric. I think now it's more pragmatic and realistic discussion. Means, of course, there's not the current, and not for every usage is full electric the right and proper solution. Therefore, combustion engines is, of course, huge population, depending on the power range and the geography. There's still a growing number of combustion engines, and maybe 1 billion combustion engines worldwide in operation in various applications. And therefore, coming back to the numbers and figures of North American and European and South American trucks and diesel trucks, there's, of course, huge numbers, whether it's 145 million and 50.5 million or 13. At the end of the day, it's huge population. Therefore, you can imagine if you would be able to enter 1% or maybe 5% of that population is already huge figures. And therefore, market itself shows huge opportunities for technology like ours. And of course, we work on field test installations, which we have. We have now first various repeat orders, as Jim explained. And lot of space to grow, and not too much competition in this type of solution.
Thank you. You know, we talk about comparable technologies. And I remember I was in Kentucky at North America's largest truck show, and this is probably going back 10 or 12 years ago now. But when they first launched the trailer skirts, and it was interesting. I walked around at that point. You talk to trucking companies, and they all said, there is no effing way we will have these things under our trailers. Today, you're hard pressed to find a truck or a trailer anywhere in North America and throughout Europe without them. And, you know, these are at an average cost of $3,000. And, you know, according to all the stats, they are supposed to improve the fuel economy by 1%. So if you do a comparable, of our unit to the end user at just under $10,000, and I'm talking Canadian dollars, in comparison to those at $3,000, our comparison, ours is a 3 times better proposition, strictly based again on the fuel savings. Now, you'll add the fuel savings to the carbon credits that people are going to be getting now, along with all the other added benefits. I do believe that we are going to hit that tipping point, and I think we are starting to see that. And certainly, as we talked about with the new management and directors and people that we have attracted on to this company recently, I think that clearly shows that. Again, we're a global company. I mean, currently we've got 48 qualified dealers and agents throughout 55 countries of the world. Talking about developments and changes, again, I want to hand this over to Bernd. First of all, I want to thank Bernd. I mean, you look at this gentleman. I mean, he has brought, years of experience within the large diesel engine world. He is recognized worldwide. I mean, for the fact of him, leaving where he did to come to dynaCERT, I think that says an awful lot. But, along with him, the team that he has helped us assemble, for this company and for the future and for the growth of this company, it truly excites me. I'll turn it over to you, Bernd.
Yeah, thank you, Jim, for the flowers. As mentioned, as explained by Jim, having a background, starting my career with Daimler and Mercedes, therefore, of course, knowing automotive and passenger cars and engines, moving over to MTU, big diesel and gas engines, being there responsible as well for the integration of TDC off-highway engines into the MTU world, means mining and oil and gas applications, exactly our target applications or some of the target applications of dynaCERT, and working with Rolls-Royce and the smaller engine manufacturer HATS, which is majorly in the construction equipment business and power generation. Therefore, knowing a lot of course, on propulsion systems, on engines, on classical ICEs, also of course, being familiar with the different types of fuels, also of course HYDROGEN besides HVO and synthetic and e-fuels. Same happened, or same experience and same attracting of Kevin Unrath. We worked together at HATS, and he has also background with MAN trucks and engines and Rolls-Royce passenger cars, and of course we were together at HATS. And I think important point is adding competences and skills to the existing dynaCERT team. Of course, Jim and the whole team is very capable, very encouraged, has a lot of experience, and therefore maybe bringing Kevin and myself additionally to the group means also having access, of course, in the EMEA region in Europe and in Asia as well, and coming out of the propulsion system, which of course helps with our interaction between our HydraGEN technology unit with the interfering and relationship and correspondence to the engine and the whole propulsion system, as well as to various OEMs, might it be automotive trucks, might it be different applications, also, as you know, marine applications where MTU is a big player, besides also defense applications, main battle tanks, submarines, frigates, all that. They have a lot of market. Secondly, Jim and I made it happen to bring also additional competence to the board of directors. There's already a lot of guys besides Jim, of course, as well, with a lot of competence, a lot of encouragement, taking care of the development of the company, but also additional competence, which I think is in these days also very helpful and supportive for the story of dynaCERT. On the one hand side, Jim made it happen to win James Tensey, who has a lot of experience and is one of the carbon popes, if I may say. He knows, of course, the regulation. He knows, of course, the certification. He knows what CO2 means. He has a background also with forestry and Greenland. There's different ways how to capture carbons and CO2s. And therefore, very, very good signal having him also believing in dynaCERT and being available for the grow. Same happened to Tanya Roundtree, who is very experienced in the securities industry, as well as in major roles at the TMX, at the stock exchange, therefore also supportive for a public or TMX listed company like dynaCERT. Means really having people ladies and gentlemen in the board coming in additionally, which of course is a good signal and brings in additional competence. Myself, I think also as an executive director's role, and Jim and I made it together with my former colleague Doug Senesh, who is also very capable in the off-highway market globally and worldwide. Also, of course, in the automotive industry, being very, very close and involved and in major roles with the Penske Group. Therefore, also in DDC, of course. Therefore, also having a lot of knowledge and access to various target groups and players in the game, and also very, very experienced in having an important role in the North American Distributors Council, as well as in Australia, and of course worldwide. Therefore, talking on dealerships and distribution organizations and multi-franchise and strategic developments. And I think, Jim, we could go on now 20 minutes on the various competences which have been already in dynaCERT, which are added, and we will have also in the next days again next strategic round with these guys. And of course, discuss and develop and decide where to go to and which route for the future. A lot of opportunities, as said. Therefore, on the one side, we have to focus and to strengthen the, of course, limited resources. On the other side, a lot of opportunities, which we will go for.
Thank you, Bernd. And I certainly couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you look at the strength, of the board and the management that we've grown. I mean, I've always said this company was way bigger than me, and I've always believed that. And I believe that now more than ever. But I certainly look at the strengths, that we have just recently brought to the board and to the management. I mean, I think this shows the direction of this company and where it's going. It's very exciting.
Yeah, of course, as a basis for scaling up and future development, also with bigger volumes out of the repeat orders and new approaches, of course, there is already a lot of very good developments and manufacturing and sourcing happening. Of course, we prepare for bigger orders to come. That means it's talking about process quality, processes. Of course, there are proper processes in place, but as said, on the sourcing side, we have to prepare our suppliers for growing figures. On the manufacturing side, of course, we have in Toronto-based reasonable manufacturing and assembly. We are thinking, of course, on various locations for bigger orders, where to produce what. On the hardware side, which is, of course, HydraGEN is a top quality product. Of course, we want to keep it and to continue that and to expand it. Secondly, and we explained, we have a so-called HydraLytica telematic solution, means the software, which is an own development and adjustment of the systems in the market, therefore by our own forces and our own IP being further developed, which is the basis of the measuring of the emission or fuel reduction, and by that the emission reduction, and actually for the carbon credit certification. And as said, it's a backbone and further development for the intended strong volume increase. On the other side, we have also, of course, if you go, sorry, Jim, one page back, we have, of course, also, we expanded our external sales and lead campaigns. Of course, we are in various field installations and repeat orders already in Canada and in the US, and also in Chile and Peru, majorly on the mining side and the transport, for instance, of the iron ore to the harbor from the mine side. We have in Europe also a few installations and field test installations, but of course we scale now up with the existing customer base and first lead base, but also we go for, as mentioned before and shown, there's a lot of opportunities in various applications. Therefore, the discussion, or we have to decide between focusing versus opening. There's more and more geography. Might it be in Europe or might it be in the Middle East where we have first installations? We are approached by some Far East guys on various applications. As discussed before, we have serious talks with combustion engine manufacturers, with the OEMs for that, as well as for the also the whole propulsion system, as well as these renewables development companies, which maybe is also interesting because everybody's talking on energy and renewables. And I was the last 2 days, for instance, on a Canadian embassy event in Europe, being hosted in Spain, where a lot of Canadian EDC money, Export Development Canada, was discussed. Everybody, as you know, is talking on renewables. Maybe you are invested in various renewable initiatives besides ourselves. Therefore, there's a lot of money in the game. There's a lot of questions and interest by introducing our dynaCERT technology, HydraGEN. We had a lot of really serious discussions, and therefore also the, let's say, classical ICE developers and development companies also, of course, want to see what we are doing, how we are doing it, how is our technology, of course, we are securing our IP and patents. As the vehicle OEMs, we discussed already that they look and want to have a look and want to have an understanding what we are doing, how we are doing it, and of course our major target group, which is the operators and fleet owners. Okay, means coming to the European setup. Of course, we have a setup there. We have in various sub-regions in Europe sales people being based. We are working on having a more autonomous, more developed organization, preparing for the bigger volumes also in Europe, which means we don't want to be backboned or, of course, very, very closely with Canada, but being able to run the business ourselves in the mother tongue language, in the same time zone, close to the market and the customers, but of course being backed up and being, of course, a member of dynaCERT. Therefore, also there, preparation for scaling up happening. And as you know, and as we informed you, and as Jim raised, we officially got the approval by the Carbon Authority Verra, Washington-based, with a worldwide reputation. I think, Jim, 3.5 years hard work of you and the involved people, finally successfully, which was not finally 3.5 years because Jim and the guys were lazy. It was the other way around. It means really new land for Verra, new land, of course, for dynaCERT. Being the first to the market with such a solution means a lot of back and forth, a lot of clarification. You know, there's carbon credits as a target. There's money behind it. It needs to be properly audited and ready for being audited. Therefore, I think, Jim, as you always say, it's like flying to the moon, entering into a new world, into a new space. And therefore, congratulations to you and the whole team involved to make that happen.
Thank you, Bernd. And you're absolutely right. I mean, this is a big move for us with Verra, and I'm sure that we have lots of questions concerning Verra. I mean, it was probably one of the longest, most painful events I could have imagined to go through and get this approval through Verra. But once we achieved it, this has and is opening multiple doors globally. But right now we are in the process of launching multiple carbon credit projects, which to be approved by Verra, or gets within the Verra approval for these carbon credits. The nice thing is, now that we've got the approval with the methodology, now that we're going through this process with the projects, once the projects are launched officially, we can still go back 2 years retro from there and include any vehicles that or any applications that have been with us, with our technology. So it's not like we are now waiting again to get that before we can start getting carbon credits. The nice thing is, there's a process you go through to get these programs launched. But with the launch of the programs, we can now go back 2 years retro from that with all the data and everything, which we have been collecting. And that is, again, the importance of our HydraLytica. Without the HydraLytica, this would never happen. But as Bernd said, and as I've said multiple times, and we're going where no man has gone before. We're paving a whole new road for this, and it's been even with Verra and with everything. I mean, this is a new launch. It's a new way. It's a new program, and but it's going to be huge. It's going to be very beneficial for both us and our customers.
And of course, what is the target of the whole activity? Of course, one, helping the environment and our kids and grandkids to live in an environmental friendly area, and secondly, and of course also from the commercial side, we want and we do actually, and of course we continue and increase the volume. By that also, of course, the turnover. This is with the hardware, with the boxes, with the units. On the other side, as explained, we have also the HydraLytica telematics solution, with which we can measure the emission fuel reduction and the fuel reductions, and by that the emission reductions. And this pays off in permanent subscription. It means it's not a one-off; it's continuous money or earnings income for us as well as for our customers, as we want to share it, but also for dynaCERT and the share of dynaCERT, of course, it should help. And what is the final target? The final target is, of course, the intention to increase share price, to increase the turnover and the profit, and by that, of course, increasing also the enterprise value, which I think is your target and our target, and of course your target or your reason why being invested, besides the environmental effect, into dynaCERT.
Yes, you're right. Okay, this is just talking about the Verra. We've already gone through this quite extensively. Just wanted to, say, I mean, we do have strong shareholders. I mean, we have between management and insiders hold 31% of the company. We've got 25 institutions currently holding 5%. Eric Sprott, is a very well-recognized investor here in Canada, holds 6%. Family offices 13%, and then we've got just over 6,000 retail shareholders with over 45% of the company. Lastly, I just wanted to talk quickly about Cipher Neutron. I mean, dynaCERT has acquired 15% of Cipher Neutron. Cipher Neutron, I always talk about our current technology. Our current technology is what I call the bridge to the hydrogen economy. I believe it's a long bridge. I believe we've got, I think, I don't think we could be at a better place or a better time with our current technology. But while we are crossing that bridge, I've always had a strong believing in the hydrogen economy. And so for that reason, we have invested in Cipher Neutron. Cipher Neutron is a company that is, in AEM technology. They've actually got the largest in the AEM technology, the largest electrolyzer right now in the world. They just recently entered into a contract with Simon Fraser University to build a 250 megawatt AEM electrolyzer. This has never been done before. This is something that's very, very exciting for us and for them. And of course, they also have the first patent for reversible fuel cell technology. And this is something, again, this is the future. This is the future for dynaCERT. This is the future for our shareholders, the longevity of it. And we're very, very excited, to be part of this. This just gives you an overview of the contacts and corporate office. And at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Nicole for questions and answers.
Hey guys, great presentation. Our chat has been going off this entire time, so I'm going to do my best to get to as many as possible. I will be consolidating some of them too for those of you who have duplicate questions. So Jim, I want to turn it over to you really quick. You have this really impressive stat about what this technology can do for shipping containers. Maybe you can spend 15 seconds on that. I think it's really worth sharing.
Sure, and this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And and this is something that now we actually have. I mean, just recently we had a full delegate here from Vietnam, and they are in constant communications with us because they want this. But this is something that's needed so many places in the world. And this is for container ships. And Nicole, the reality is, and I'm not knocking electric cars, believe me, but for a period of time, the government was trying to force everybody, you got to go electric because that's going to change the world. One single container ship puts out the equivalent of 50 million cars per year in pollution. If you take 17 container ships, that's equivalent to every vehicle on the road worldwide today. Mm-hmm. Now, this is an area that we are now looking to move into. This is we don't have a unit today big enough, but our technology is scalable. We believe that we can do this and we can make a huge impact within that market. But those stats are staggering. They really are.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted to flag them for our viewers too. It's one of my favorite ones that you often share with us. So thank you for that. I do want to pivot to the additions to your team. That was a big focus for you guys this year. And this is consolidating some questions from the audience as well. But what are they bringing to the table to help drive revenue? Why was this a good time to bring them on board, and kind of look at it from that angle?
I'll just say briefly, why is it the right time? To me, we are at the right time for this technology, and bringing these people on with their experience is opening so many doors. But Bernd, you are the expert in this field, and I'm going to turn this over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. And Nicole, of course, right question means principally, of course, also dynaCERT, as three are the inventors of HydraGEN. HydraGEN itself is, of course, a very long-lasting and very early found technology. But first, the method of producing hydrogen, not necessarily having a pipeline or having the transport to the vehicle, but really having the electrolyzers on the box, on the truck, means independently being able to do it, as to separate hydrogen and oxygen, which dynaCERT or HydraGEN by dynaCERT is able to do so, is of course huge invention. And Jim, I think you and the team in the last 22 years developed the technology, made it waterproof and bulletproof. There's a lot of, not competitors, but let's say other guys who talk about hydrogen solutions. But if you have a serious look there and the installations, and Jim, you raised it before, some of our customers are really unsatisfied with the solutions which were offered to them. Therefore, we have very positive feedbacks. Therefore, from the physics and chemistry side, it works properly, our electrolysis unit. Secondly, it's mechanically, of course, easy installation, not of course, but it is, which is good, means not too much efforts for the fleets, for the workshop managers there to install the units. And thirdly, with the software and the telematics, which of course is also not so easy to develop and to do, works also properly, sending the data, which are also of course necessary to measure it, but secondly also to get the Verra, to get the carbon credits. And therefore it's really from the product and hardware and software side being well developed, and made here, market is ready now. Product is made here, product is ready, market is ready. Therefore, right timing for offering it. And secondly, as Jim said, I'm also a member of, for instance, of the German Engine Manufacturer Association, where of course a lot of solutions are there. Secondly, a lot of the topics and offerings are blue sky. Means, as said, you need the hydrogen to be transported to there. We can do it on our own. And thirdly, of course, the bridge will be very long. We know it from the passenger cars. Everybody thought, or some thought, maybe not everybody, not us, thinking everything would be soon only full electric. We see the opposite. Hybrid solutions are principally also in passenger cars have been regarded as bridging technology, but the bridge will be very long. And as Jim said, we are, if we make 1 or 2% of the whole population of diesel engines with our technology, it's good for the environment, good for the company and the share price, and the bridge will be very long.
Absolutely. And I just want to add one thing, and thank you, Bernd. And we talked much about the management and everything like that, but we've got to also recognize, the fact that it has been our engineering team. We've got some amazing people here that has been working in the back that don't get recognized very often. But without these teams, we would never be where we're at today. And at the same time, we are currently, we've built up, and we're now got an official data center here because of the carbon credits and the future of the carbon credits. So the company is growing in many avenues. But
and as you say, Jim, definitely it's invention, R&D, pre-development, engineering, it's vision, but also commercial management, it's entrepreneurship all together. Then you can be as a company and as a post startup, let's say, being growing and earning money and at the end profits.
That's great, guys. Thank you. So the Verra approval is a hot topic in our chat today. And to consolidate some of the thoughts that are going back and forth here is really, we were waiting for the approval for what seems to be a while, but you guys have it now. So can you talk a little bit about what that's doing to generate some sales from old and new customers, and if you have any timing on what that could potentially look like?
Well, I certainly think that this is going to be a huge catalyst in sales. It has opened doors where there is so many talks going on right now. And again, like I mentioned with the launch of the projects, because it's the projects that make it all happen. And so this is all in the process right now. We're actually working with professional consultants through this process to make it happen very quickly. Yes, it was a long, painful event. And I see some people ask questions, why did it take so long? God, if I could only, if I had a crystal ball, I'd love to be able to answer that question. But I have been told by every consultant, by every auditor, anybody that's ever had any dealings within the carbon credit world, they said that Verra is probably the largest, most difficult, most painful thing to go through. But it is by far the only one that really makes the sense. So we stayed the course, and we've finally crossed that bridge. So.
Okay, great. Hopefully that helps some of the folks on the line there. So we're talking about orders, generating revenue. What repeat orders can we be expecting, and how are those sales looking like?
Well, we certainly expect. We just announced repeat orders. Earlier this week, of companies within the oil and field, and within the mining industry, and within the trucking industry. We've got a lot of things happening here in North America. We've got a lot of things happening, in South America within the mining industry. But Bernd and his group over there, with the regrouping and reorganizing within the European market, is opening a lot of doors also. So we certainly expect that. I'm not going to say between now and Christmas we're going to see earth-shattering things, although I'm sure we'll still see more orders. But I certainly expect, the first quarter of next year, and from there moving forward, that things are going to get very exciting.
And maybe an additional word to the audience, because maybe it's not automatically clear to everybody. Because principally how it works is we approach, of course, at every side of the Atlantic and Pacific, various guys introducing the technology, and then usually you get into first installations. That means it's not whatever starting from getting the certification and then you sell thousands of units per OEM. It's you explain the technology, you get the chance to install a first first field test installation. Then the OEM is testing the device, whether it delivers that what we promise, which of course it does. And then you get the repeat orders, as Jim explained, and then you increase the volume, and by that the turnover, and are scaling up. Therefore, this is not a thing getting the approval of the certificate and then next morning you have thousands of units being ordered. But the process is there. We seeded various field test installations, as Jim explained. We got first and various repeat orders, which is the best signal. It's not telling us, it's telling the customer their decision, their happiness, and they are convinced, which at the end of the day is, of course, the most important.
It seems another topic some investors are talking about here are waiting for that big order or multiple big orders. Is there any comments from either of you on that?
Means maybe giving an answer of that. We are talking, we won let's say, we won a new global miner, not a new, but as a new lead, a global mining company, which you also do know. They have 10,000 vehicles at their global mine site operation. But as explained, it's not 10,000 big mine haul trucks. It's various vehicles with various engines in various power ranges in various applications. And therefore, of course, we have to enter series by series, vehicle by vehicle in field test. Then they have to be happy. We have to prove the fuel economy and the emission being realized. And then it's per mine site, per geography. But of course, it's raising and raising and raising. And or Jim, the other story you said before, being approached by, let's say, not the first first target application like ocean-going vessels. Principally, we don't have the product up to now, but as Jim explained, of course, we could scale it up. The reactor itself works in very small engines as well as in very big engines. But therefore, this is not a decision or not a final order or final income of money overnight. It has to be technologically being developed, adjusted, being tested. But we don't face their competition. They are happy with our solution if it properly works, what it does, of course. We have the perspective to get their bigger portions of the cake. And as explained, the market is huge. It's not talking about winning 50% of the market. 1% would be already very significant numbers.
Okay, gentlemen, we're just about out of time for today. I do want to give you 30 seconds. Are there any questions or any topics that you want to cover really quick? Any last thoughts for those of the people that are watching us today?
Means maybe giving Jim the last word, maybe second last word from my side. First of all, I think we thank all the investors into dynaCERT for the trust and trust in us and the product, of course. Secondly, Jim, much more, but me as well. I invested also private money, moved over to dynaCERT, invested private money. Therefore, I think best signal in believing in the product and Jim and the whole team and in our joint future. And thank you for listening.
No, I could certainly echo that. I certainly want to thank all our shareholders for the extended interest and everything within this company. I mean, I know it's been a long time coming, but I do firmly believe, and I don't think I've ever been more excited of the future of this company. And Bernd's right. I mean, you look at, I mean, several of us, most of the management and everything like that has, significant positions within the company. Certainly between myself, my wife, and my kids, we are, one of the largest, if not the largest shareholder of this company. We put everything in this thing because I believe in it. I fully believe in it. I believe in the future. I believe it's huge. I always said it was bigger than me. And I think those, I am certainly excited, with the new management, everything coming on. I will work with them as long as it takes. I mean, the reality is eventually I will step down and Bernd will be running this show and, continuing to grow this company. I will stay on as chairman of the board, and I'll stay around as long as I bring value to the company. But to me, it's very exciting. We're at a very exciting time and place with this company. And Nicole, I certainly thank you and the team there at Red Cloud, and certainly again thank all our shareholders.
That's wonderful, guys. Thank you for such a positive update on the company today. To everyone who is on the line, thank you for watching. Head over to dynaCERT's website for more information, and this webinar replay will be posted. So if you folks want to rewatch it, it will be available shortly. So in the meantime, thank you all for joining us live, and we'll hopefully see you next time. Take care.
All right.